afternoon. This is your Community Connection Corner here on North Catholic Station, Real Life Radio 1380 and 94.9 FM. I'm Jennifer Longworth, joined today by some folks from the Red Cross. I have Callie Edwards, who's the Regional Volunteer Director. Okay, Susan Timmerman, who's a Volunteer Coordinator. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the studio, guys.
Thanks for having us here today. We're glad to be here and always happy to talk about the Red Cross.
Now, before we went on, I said, well, people know of the Red Cross, and you said they know what they think the Red Cross is. So tell us more about what the Red Cross really is, what you guys do.
We'd be happy to. A lot of people are familiar with us based on what they see on the news, the Red Cross responding to national disasters or the Red Cross being involved in blood services. But there's a lot of activities that we do locally that don't always get the media attention that sometimes we get nationally played. The Red Cross in the Bluegrass region, which focuses on serving 55 counties through central and eastern and southeastern Kentucky. Our major focuses are on disaster response and services, responding to single-family fires, flooding, tornadoes, ice storms. We responded last year to nearly 600 single house fires in our community, and that's what we do most of the time, our volunteers are always really engaged with. We don't do blood services in this region because there's already the Kentucky Blood Center, so we're always referring people to the Kentucky Blood Center in this region. We also provide the Wheels Paratransit service here in Fayette County, which we are partnered with Lextran to provide that service. And then additionally, we have our preparedness, health, and safety programs where we teach our first aid, our CPR classes. Actually, today we have a babysitter's class going on where there's many young women learning life-saving skills and CPR so they can babysit this summer. And we also provide that training to many workplaces as well. We also have a couple programs I'm going to let Susan talk to you about, which is our Service to the Armed Forces program and our international services.
Hi. So happy to be here. Trying to think of everything I can tell you about Red Cross, we probably don't have enough time. And I certainly enjoy talking about service to the armed forces because my husband was in the Army for 24 years. And as an Army wife, I always thought, I don't know that much. We were stationed here in Lexington for his last assignment with UK ROTC and decided to remain in this beautiful area. We've been in the same house for 20 years. Wow. This is definitely home for us. And as a military wife, having lived in civilian communities, because half of his career, we were in very small communities. We were not at regular installations. I have a feel for what many military families in this area are going through. And there are many, many. We don't see them. They don't wear uniforms. And people think, well, Fort Knox, Fort Campbell are the closest military installations, and they forget there are mothers and fathers, sisters, brothers, grandparents, aunt, uncles, cousins of active duty. There are also so many National Guard and Reserve families in this area that have been activated over and over and over again during the last 11, 12 years that people are not aware. And then you have the active duty component, such as the ROTC cadre, recruiters, the active duty status people who work with reserves and National Guard, retirees, veterans. You start talking to people, oh yeah, my grandfather, my dad, my uncle, my cousin, my mom, my sister. The military is just part of our life. And we have the life we do because of our military. And that's why I'm so happy to do this, because we have the honor to serve the people who serve us. It makes it so easy. It makes it so simple. And when I retired, coming up on 3 years ago, they asked me to remain as a volunteer coordinator, doing pretty basically the same thing. I was able to do this because Red Cross has modernized, and there is one toll-free number to call. May I give it?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Everybody get a pen and paper. If you ever need to send an emergency message to a family member anywhere in the world who is part of the military or overseas, if they are part of the Department of Defense contractors, Red Cross is the way to go.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Right. And I highly encourage it. There are times when people call me and go, My nephew put on Facebook that Grandpa passed away, and my son called me from Afghanistan. He's all upset because he saw it on Facebook. Why didn't I call the Red Cross? And I told him, I'm getting ready to call him, but I wanted to find out about the funeral first. She had no idea that somebody would jump the gun, thinking, oh, Red Cross takes too long. No, we are very instantaneous. I can get on a secure internet site, look at the cases that are currently going on, and see where someone has called, where it's been verified, where it's been delivered. Then it is returned to the local chapter, and I follow up with the families. I make sure they've heard from the service person. I make sure travel plans are in place. If they need financial assistance, I can refer them to any of the military aid societies. These are all nonprofits sponsored by every branch of the service. For instance, Army Emergency Relief. And those military aid societies are also available for retirees. Not for veterans, unfortunately, but retirees who get a military retirement check, not a VA check. But they can also call 1-877-272-7337 to access that service. It's all done by phone. The funds are either directly paid to the vendor, such as the electric company, a landlord. It may be that the person needs funds for food, gas, for their automobile, something like that, where they need cash in their pocket. That's done by Western Union. It's very smooth, it's very quick. It does require some faxing of paperwork, but it is no more than they would have to do if they came into the chapter to do it, which is the way we used to do it.
And what's the phone number again?
The phone number again is 1-877-272-7337 for emergency messages, not if you break a finger, but real emergencies, serious injuries, illnesses, death. It does not have to be a matter of life and death, though, and a lot of people think it has to be that serious. Somewhere in between. Also, breakdown in child care, financial problems, other situations that needs the attention of the service person. If nothing else, just their knowledge of it. Sometimes it's want to notify them and request a phone call. It's not always requesting presence. Our messages do not force them to take leave. We do not grant leave. It is up to the military.
But at least you have that way of getting in touch with them.
Exactly.
Other than just, I saw it on Facebook.
And also to ask, can we have a chaplain present? If a chaplain's available, they certainly are there when the message is delivered. Or conversely, they make sure that it is handled in a very sensitive way. The main thing with that is that a lot of people get on Facebook and they're alone. There's some news you don't want to get. Many people think, well, I have to be the one to tell them. Not a good idea. You don't want to be in their memory. You told me this happened. You told me that Mom and Dad were in a horrible traffic accident. That's a very bad connotation. It's one of the reasons that the military, when they do casualty notification, there is one person who does the notification. There is another person who helps the family through all the paperwork, settling of the estate, getting the insurance, that type of thing. There are two different people, same reason. And that's another thing. We don't notify the families if the service person is injured. If you get a call that says, oh, I'm with the Red Cross and your person has been injured and we'll call you back with details, don't believe it. Call your Red Cross. Call that 1-877-272-7337 number, and it can be checked. Don't believe it. It is someone being horribly, horribly cruel. Please don't ask me why. I have no concept of it.
Right.
And then lastly, the other program that Susan works really closely with is our International Social Services Program. We work with individuals that are here in our country that may be refugees or are now citizens, and they have lost touch with loved ones due to war, conflict, disaster. And we try to help work with our international connections to try to see if we can do tracing to help those families reconnect, locate individuals that haven't been seen for years. We handle probably about 10 cases a year of that. They're a time-consuming process because it just takes a while to work through the networking. But for example, last year we worked with 2 sisters in the Congo that hadn't spoken with their father for over 10 years and did not even know if he was alive. And we were able to, through that process, our volunteer was able to help them reconnect. I think it was around 9 months or so of letters and messages, but finally the family, they found out that he was alive, and they were able to reconnect and share photos, and that's a really important program for us too. It doesn't get a lot of news attention, but it's one of those programs that Susan and our volunteers put a lot of heart and soul into.
Yeah, the other volunteer that shares the responsibility is Jermaine O'Connell. Her main area of focus is the international services. She is a Navy brat. I kind of tease her on that. So she is familiar with the military, but because I was a military wife for so long, we kind of have our strengths. But I also do international. So we flip-flop. We get along well together. We try to make a team. Right. And some of the cases that Jermaine has been involved in are just so touching. The particular case Kelly mentioned, not only did they connect with the father, but also several of their brothers and sisters that he knew their location. We cannot comprehend what these families go through. Sitting at home, all of a sudden the door is broken down by rebels with guns. They are forced to literally run. They may see family members killed right in front of their eyes. Other atrocities that we just won't go into, but absolutely horrible, horrible conditions, the conditions they live under in refugee camps, how they strive to come to the United States. Just absolutely amazing. We've been helping some refugees from Iraq lately. We are able to do what they call certificates of detention. In other words, they were held in refugee camps after the beginning of the Iraq War. And by providing that for them, it helps to reestablish things in Iraq that they are eligible for, where they have had to leave their property or bank accounts, that type of thing. I've talked to one lady just recently, and she's now a United States citizen and very, very proud of it. We should go through a citizenship test.
Yeah.
But yeah, many, many different countries. We can't do every country. There is a list of countries we can do. For instance, right now, Syria. We would be happy to do those messages, but there are no Syrian Red Crescent people available to take those messages and deliver them. They are so involved with providing the basic humanitarian needs of food, shelter, and clothing. So it is a very complicated system, but we're happy to talk to anyone about it and to check and see if it is possible.
Well, ladies, we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about the American Red Cross and how folks can get involved. This is your Community Connection Corner here on your Catholic station, Real Life Radio 1380 and 94.9 FM, WMJR, Nixonsville.